Vijay Amritraj is the session chair. He is, several of you heard from him a little bit 2 nights ago when he spoke at the dinner where Usha Uthup was performing. He's a dear friend of the organization. He has inspired and regaled us with stories and anecdotes from his past in England, in India, how tennis mingles with international affairs, tennis with philanthropy, tennis with diplomacy, and all kinds of things in between. So what I'd like to do now is invite Vijay up to the stage, and I'll let Vijay introduce 2 stellar panelists who will be with him, who are well known to Indiaspora, and they come from different countries and represent different sports. Vijay, kindly come up. The stairs are this. The stairs are this way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Where am I? Great. Good afternoon, everyone. For those who only follow cricket, my name is Vijay Amritraj, and play with a softer ball in a smaller area. We have a wonderful session here simply because I think this question has come up quite a bit, both globally with the Indian diaspora, as well as, of course, all across India. And we're going to talk about the potential getting of the Olympics for 2036. That's the basis of our discussion today. And I've got 2 wonderful former players as well, present players and former players. But the most important thing is I don't know enough about them myself. So I'm going to ask a lot of the questions of them and their feelings of what they feel about it. But let me first introduce Mona Agrawal. She's a Paralympic shooter. She's had an incredible career, bronze medal at the 24 Paralympics in Paris, silver medal at the 25 Changwon World Cup, a gold medal at the 24 Changwon World Cup, and a gold medal at the 24 New Delhi World Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mona Agrawal. You can come this side. You can come this side. Right here. Perfect. Perfect. Mona, welcome. Nice to see you. Good to see you. I'll give you this microphone. My second guest, and I'm going to try and pronounce her last name correctly, but she specifically mentioned it's not the Maharashtrian way. It's the Australian way, apparently. So my Australian accent is not very good since we last beat them in Sydney in Davis Cup. She is has an incredible journey in cricket. The thing that really struck me most in her bio was captaining her country, which is always very special. I know that feeling. She's also the first woman to have scored over 1,000 runs and taken 100 wickets. That's huge. Please welcome Lisa Sthalekar. Come on up. Great to see you. So let me make a few comments first, and then I'll get a similar comments from Lisa and Mona in our session. I think the important thing here to discuss is where sports has come since the time I started playing the game of tennis way back when for different reasons. I started for health. I wasn't very good at anything I did growing up, especially because I had a health issue, which is why the doctors eventually said that I needed to play an outdoor sport. I was in hospital many, many months in the year, several hours of IV in me every day. My mother used to go sit in school, take notes, come and teach me in the hospital, and so on and so forth, till finally they said, listen, this guy needs to play an outdoor sport to be able to go to school. So that was one of the main reasons why I started playing tennis, and then it took a a different turn. At the time when I started to play overseas, the big question at home was always, yes, you play tennis, what do you do for a living? So till I won my first tournament, and then I happened to make more money in that first tournament than someone made over 3 years. Then that question went away. But my late grandmother used to always ask me, when I would go out of country to play, why do you have to go so far to lose? And that I still haven't been able to answer. But from that time to today, when we hear about the incredible amount development that has taken place in sport, and of course, as far as I'm concerned, cricket has never been a sport in India, as we all know. It's a religion, we all know that. So we never compare our sport, or any sport for that matter, to cricket. And what I enjoyed most in recent times were the women winning the World Cup. I think there was nothing better than seeing the Indian women win the World Cup. We have been incredibly popular in shooting. And I'm going to talk to Mona a lot about how we developed as a shooter. And, needless to say, none of us can mess with anybody because they're good shooters. So on an ongoing basis, shooting, we've started to constantly win medals. And I think that is an interesting conversation to have as to whether we can continue to win medals in the Olympics. So coming to the Olympic Games, the process that it takes, we're exactly 10 years away if we happen to get the Olympics for 2036. Exactly 10 years away. 10 years away in Olympic Games is the blink of an eye. It's the blink of an eye. And unlike developing a product, unlike talking about marketing, unlike talking about sales, unlike talking about AI and tech, sport is entirely different. You can work your butt off forever and still not win much. Because the greatest thing about sport is that there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees in sport. We can be good, we can be very good, we can play really well, but we can still lose. So that is always going to be there. So I would like to have this discussion with Lisa and Mona about what is good and what the pros and cons are for going after the Olympic Games, first of all, and then, if we do get it, how we should address it. So that's the basis of our discussion. Lisa, would you like to start off and say a little bit about both sport in India, which you're well aware of, overall, not just your champion cricket playing efforts, but also what you think about going into the Olympics?
Yeah, look, I've been fortunate enough to travel to India for a long period of time because cricket has given me some opportunities here. I've certainly seen the development and infrastructure improve over time. I was actually covering the Men's World Cup here in 23, I think it was, and actually attended the event that IOC was held at Mrs. Ambani's place. So it seems like everything is building towards 2036 and India hosting the Olympics. The fact that cricket is in the LA 28 Olympic Games is a huge coup for not only cricket to be able to seen in a global sporting event, but also for the IOC to open up the Asian market from a broadcast point of view. And cricket being played every single day is going to get eyeballs watching. And then 2032, the Olympics is going to be in Brisbane in Australia. Cricket will probably be part of that. And then if 2036 also is in India and cricket, potentially cricket could be actually a sport that we see forever in the Olympics, because I think at the moment the agreement is if it's in 3 Olympic cycles, it stays in for a long period of time. So watch this space. It's moving pretty quickly.
Mona, how do you feel about potentially getting the Olympics in 2036?
This will be a good opportunity for India to bid for Olympics, because in India we have 70 to 80% audience that is cricket centric, and now the transformation is getting on its own. So we have so many sports we are getting over, and we are getting medals. And in 2036, if we'll bid for Olympics and will participate, I think we need to increase the number of participations, and the medals will follow that same.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation to have. The question is, how do we get more of our youngsters taking up different sports so that we actually have shots down the road to win medals? Now, as far as hosting the games is concerned, I've always felt that no one hosts events better than we do in India. For a specific reason, because the hospitality is so good. It's the only country in the world where I've lost a very tight 5-set match. They tap me on the back and say, don't worry about it, let's have a cup of tea. We're good. Okay? Because we follow the old Olympic adage, which is, it's not the winning that counts, but the taking part. That was what the IOC put out way back when we were playing. But in the West, they follow that famous saying, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And that's the difference where we have to work with as far as we are concerned. And the question is, if we do get the Olympic Games for 2036, and I really hope we do, because it will really give a boost to our country like no other in sport, no question about it. We've done remarkably well in everything else. The question is, will we be ready for it with the number of medals we should be winning?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think the fact that the corporate dollar, Charu Sharma was telling me a couple of days ago that 95% of corporate dollars go to BCCI to fund cricket. And then obviously with the Indian women's side winning in October their first ICC trophy, that number has gone to 97%. So unfortunately, that leaves only a very small percent to cover a lot of sports in India, especially if you're talking about the Olympics. For me,
Sorry, let me stop you there and ask a quick question. Do you think it's a wise move to ask BCCI to support the other sports?
I think so. I think you can. I think if they understand how important sport is in general, you look at teamwork building, confidence, how it's going to allow Indian citizens to travel around the world, experience different things. I think sport can play an important role in the economics of India. So it's not just cricket, but yes, they've created a wonderful model that's hugely successful. But for me, growing up in Australia, sport is ingrained in schools. Access to young boys and girls before they hit high school at their most infancy, where they learn to love the idea of being active. And I know here in India that isn't necessarily the case for lots of young boys and girls. Boys maybe get the access, but the girls don't.
Mona, you won so many medals, you've been the best in what you've done. Again, are we increasing that number of shooters that are available in Paralympic sports? Are we have an option, or rather an opportunity to win medals in other parts of the Paralympic Games?
Definitely, we have opportunities to win more medals because we are the largest country in population. So we will definitely be the largest number in medals also in Olympics. But we need to start it from the grassroots levels. From school levels, we need to start it, because right now we we don't have sports background in schools. In most of the private schools, we don't have a sports ground. We don't educate our kids from that early childhood to how to they participate in the sports. So that we need to update.
Is there something that, as advice, as tips, is something that the kids themselves can do to get that motivation up a little bit more as far as paying more attention to the sport?
I think the way we are creating infra and we are developing everything, so we need to, not from kids themselves, but we need to upgrade it from the school and the, I can say, from the authorities' side, so that they can start creating, preparing kids for the upcoming, their upcoming life for sports. Because kids are not that strong to decide themselves, and if they will not get that much of scope, that much of infra, so they are not going to be that much elite level.
I think you can't be what you can't see. And if you can't see those sports, why would a young boy or girl pick athletics, high jump? So there has to be more work around that. I always talk about cricket and what here in India, GeoStar and that what they've been able to do is create heroes. You think back before, when the IPL first started, there was a young Virat Kohli playing for RCB, but look at who he is now because of the fandom that's been created around him. So we need to find those athletes, those stories, and they are there. They are out there in India, in all parts of India, but we've got to find a way to share those stories and then also to make them accessible for the mass population, because you won't change, you won't want to grow up being an Olympian. Right now, everyone wants to grow up being a cricketer potentially in this country.
There's no greater motivation than playing for your country, and we've been very fortunate, all of us, to have been able to do that. The great Usain Bolt very famously said he worked for 4 years to run 9 seconds. And I think when we take that into consideration, how do you all feel about the work ethic as far as sport is concerned compared to the work ethic in an incredible sport-crazy country like Australia, for example?
I can only comment from what I've seen around the cricket field, and I'm a mentor for the UP Warriors. That's part of the Women's Premier League, and you can see the difference between overseas players coming and how they train compared to the Indian domestic players. Now, they haven't been afforded the wonderful opportunities and the structures that the Australian or English cricketers have, but that's going to change pretty quickly. So you can see the younger players admiring what a Meg Lanning does or an Elise Perry, how they train, and they start to mimic, they start to copy. And then all of a sudden, because the Indian women's side has done well in the World Cup, BCCI has now funded more money in Indian women's domestic cricket. So they're going to have more opportunities to train, to play, have better coaches, better facilities. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle. You've got to start somewhere. But the great thing about India and what I've seen is that when you do start, you accelerate pretty quickly. Once you get the motor going, and that's why I think India will dominate for a long period of time, not only in cricket, but in the world of sport, because if they get the Olympics, we know how much money and passion that they'll throw behind it.
I think when we look at talent in the country across all sports, on a general basis, I think we have a great volume of talent. There's no question, both urban and rural areas. The question is, how do we harness that talent on a regular basis to be able to give them both the opportunities, the infrastructure, and so on and so forth, for them to be able to do it? What would you say, Mona, in shooting? Is the level of practice and commitment as much as, say, what you had?
I think it's a level of maturity more. So the more you are mature, the more you get the opportunities, the more you get the positivity around you for your sport. Then you'll be able to achieve your goals.
The work ethic that goes in, and obviously mine was a very physical sport. We were very out there for hours and hours and hours on an individual basis. And the problem with our sport has always been you can't blame someone else because you're out there by yourself and we can't complain. Whereas in lots of other sports, like in team sports, obviously, one person has a good day, all of a sudden the team wins, you can always substitute and so on and so forth. The question is, in shooting, I always wondered the aspect of nerves, right? The nerves when you hold up a pistol or a rifle or whatever else it might be, and it's 50 meters or 100 meters or whatever it is, you know, you can't have a little flicker in the old trigger finger, right, at the time. So I don't know. Whereas in tennis, you can serve a double fault, you can lose the first set, and you can still win. So what would you say about that mental toughness in shooting?
Shooting is a game of, it's not a game of physical strength. It's completely depends on your mental state, and you don't need that much of strength because you cannot hold your 5 kgs or 8 kgs of weapon constantly even for 1 second. So you cannot hold and you cannot fire the shot. But you have to, you have that confidence from your training. You can get your confidence from your training that which is the moment you need to make your trigger fire. While moving your rifle is, I can say, while taking a shot, my rifle was always moving like this, always. But I have to decide, I have to stable my mind, I have to focus from my eyes, I have to make that combination of eye, mind, and my finger that when I need to pull that trigger. So that deep focus, that strong mental training is needed to get the perfect shot.
It's interesting when we use the analogy in all walks of life. We use the analogy as far as shooting is concerned. Are you ready to pull the trigger? We always say that in normal walk of life. You don't say it, are you ready to hit a first serve? You know, are you ready to hit a 4? Or whatever it might be in other sports. But the one in shooting that always got me was, are you ready to pull the trigger? Are you willing to take the shot? And it always comes from a sport like hers. And that's what always is a little bit intimidating when I see this person get up on television and to be able to pull that trigger. It's very nerve-wracking in the head. I mean, do you feel that nerve at the time?
When you was playing tennis, after any of your bad move, you'll get that aggression.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Yes.
Even in cricket, if you're going to take a bad shot, you'll be on anger. Your aggression will come out. But in shooting, you have to keep patience. If you have that one bad shot, you have to be patient. That's fine. My next shot, I'll take it.
Awesome.
The way I want it to be. That aggression and that fire inside you, that you have to be very calm. I can say the piece of fire inside you.
Yes.
You have to you have to take your shot with that piece of fire.
So on a general basis, Indians should be much better at that, right? We are calmer than the rest of the world. Don't you think? I think
Hang on,
so.
she just said no.
She says it's harder to do it, but
it's difficult to be calm.
yes.
For being an Indian,
Yes.
it's very difficult to be calm because
Yes.
I was not a kind of person who was calm. But when I started shooting, I became calm.
Well, they just need to drive in the Bengaluru traffic and they'll be calm, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so let's just get back to the Olympics for a minute and talk about the fact, Lisa, how vital is it for us to have it?
Us as in India? Look, is it vital? I mean, we know how much it costs to actually put the infrastructure in. A lot of countries have almost gone bankrupt because of it. So I think you've got to be wide-eyed and open with what you're actually agreeing to. I think the infrastructure that is left, the legacy piece, is really important. But you can't just have stadiums because empty stadiums mean nothing. So it's the projects, it's the pathways, It's working with the state authorities within each of those category of sports to ensure that the next generation have got those wonderful facilities to harness their skills. So I think a lot of work has to be done to ensure that it's successful. But I attended as a young 21-year-old the 2000 Olympics. And it has a way of captivating the nation. Everyone hits your shores, everyone's happy, which is surprising in the city. You're watching sport that you'd never watch because you want to be part of that movement. So the Olympics is really big, and it's huge in Australia. Like, as fans, we watch it and we stay up. And actually, the women's cricket sides, they played in the Commonwealth Games back in Birmingham, and unfortunately Australia beat India in the gold medal game. But one of our Australian players, Alana King, said, standing up on that podium, turning with my teammates and seeing the bronze and silver and having the flags raise up and sing the anthem is something that she thought she was an Olympic swimmer, because Australians always do well in swimming. But that moment, she can't replicate that. So for the players, it will be an amazing experience. But in order for it to be successful for India, it's not only the infrastructure and running a good event, it's about the legacy pieces afterwards.
Mona, how do you feel about us getting the Olympics for India?
The accessibility we are talking about, the infra we are talking about, the champions we are talking about, that should be by default. That should not be on demand. So, according to me, when we are going to host 2036 Olympics, will we prepared in front of world that India is not behind any other things in terms of infra, in terms of accessibility, in terms of high-performance centers? We will be prepared for everything. So we need that. Hosting 2036 Olympics is a vital thing for us to prove in front of world that India is now looking forward in terms of sports, not only in cricket, but all other sports also.
Well, I have one issue as far as this is concerned, and the main issue, I think from a hospitality perspective, we'll be second to none. I think the timing-wise, we often compare these things sometimes to an Indian wedding. The day before, there's nothing there, and the day of the wedding, everything is in place. And LA can never do that, right? They're moving along, and they're still behind as far as we're concerned, but they're getting there. But the one thing that we should truly prepare for, in my opinion, is the fact that we need to win medals. We just cannot be out of the top 5 when the medal count ends up. And the question is, can we make the top 5 medal count on the list for 2036? As I said when we started, 2036 is a blink of an eye. So it's going to happen tomorrow morning. Are we ready? Are we going to be able to count on our fingertips that we have a very, very good chance to win 10 medals, 20 medals, 40 medals? I don't know. I'm just thinking aloud. I was very fortunate. I carried the Olympic torch at the Korea Games in Seoul way back in 1988 when tennis was first introduced as a medal sport. I worked closely with the International Tennis Federation and the IOC to bring tennis into the Games. In 1984 in Los Angeles, it was a non-medal sport. In 88, it became a medal sport. And it's remained that way since. Now, I do believe that the Koreans just absolutely adored having the Games in Seoul. We would love having the Games in India, no question. I think we can move different sports to different cities across India as well. But the key question is, how many medals can we come away with?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a bit of history. I think 1976, Australia didn't win any gold medals, so there was that wasn't okay in our
Montreal.
country. Yeah, wherever it was, I wasn't alive. But, yep, I'm giving away my age. But Australia did a kind of a huge review, and then it was decided that the Australian Institute of Sport would come about, and that opened in 1980. And it wasn't until the 2000 Olympics that we won our most medal count. So that's 20 years of hard work, infrastructure, investment into various sports. So it does take a long time. But if there's one country that can do it on speed, it's India.
Yes, exactly. Mona, what do you think about our medal chances?
I'll talk about in Paralympics only. From 1972, the first medal in Paralympics, and in 2024 in Paris, 29 Paralympic medals. Okay. So we have already increased the numbers of medals, and in 2036, definitely if we will host the Olympics, we are going to increase our numbers in medals.
I think that it will be a real shot in the arm for sport in India, alongside cricket, where we'll have a good chance to win a gold. But the most important thing is that it will give us a true shot in the arm for sports in the country, across the entire country, who will be blanketed with this for 2.5 weeks. And obviously, the more medals we win, and the flag flown, the anthem sung, nothing comes second to it. It's the greatest thing in the world. And to this day, I've always felt that way, and I'm sure they feel exactly the same way I feel. So we really hope that and pray that we do get it to India in 2036, Brisbane in 2032. And I was there when we had the Commonwealth Games in Melbourne, I think, way back when. And then the following year, we were in Delhi, I think. Asian Games, maybe.
2010 was the Commonwealth Games, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, okay, and what I'm going to do now is open it up for some questions. If you all have any questions about the Olympics or sports, or obviously for Mona and Lisa and myself, we'll be more than happy to answer it. Anything to do with sports, or anything else for that matter.
Or do you want tea and coffee?
Sir.
Mona, question for you. What explains our success in the Paralympics?
Sorry?
I said, what explains our relatively much greater success in the Paralympics relative to the regular Olympics, and what can we learn from you guys?
I think the inner strength, because we have been developed from different kind of upbringing with us. So that makes us more stable mentally, not physically, but more stable mentally. And that is, I think, the plus point to us.
Thank you. That's a great question, really. Yes.
Lisa, question for you. How do you see India, Australia, and England's control over cricket? How do you see that sustaining over an extended period of time?
You think Australia and England are in control of cricket? You're probably the only person that actually believes that.
It started off that way. But
it started off that way, yes, it did. And credit to the BCCI for what they've been able to do and produce. I'd like to think that there'll be another player that comes into the fore, because we want cricket to be a global sport, not one or two countries playing against each other regularly, and that's it. I think we love World Cups because of that, and we've seen, obviously, with the recent T20 World Cup, Italy coming in. So we want our sport to almost rival football, to be the world game, and to be able to do that, you need you need a lot more nations coming to the fore, and they need financial money, so maybe needs to be split up a little bit more evenly.
Yes. From the back, sorry, one from the back.
So if the goal is to get to double-digit medals by 2032, 2036, what's the right strategy? Should we focus on specific sports where the infrastructure and the grassroots are already there? Should we take a wider approach? What's your perspective on that?
That's a very good question, and I've always had that thought in my mind as to we can't be good at everything. And that's obviously across the board, depending on which country you're from. So I think if we focus on a bunch of sports where we think we can do a dozen of them, maybe 20 of them, that we can actually stay focused, spend that money, have the best coaching, have the best infrastructure, and it doesn't matter what we do, eventually it'll get into your head one way or the other, so it comes down from there, and then the adrenaline rush that comes from actually training hard and winning. You're absolutely right. I think a focus would be very useful, not to just spray it with a double-barrel gun, but to take a little bit more of a sniper approach. That's what I believe. Lisa?
Yeah, totally agree. You've only got 10 years, so pick sports where, I guess, Indian population are good at, so that naturally fit. Obviously, wrestlers come from up north and things
exactly.
like that. So kind of pick your regions and what needs to happen. Obviously, Kerala, football, that type of stuff.
We've had the badmintons, we've had obviously Mary Kom and boxing, and we've had Haryana provide so many incredible wrestlers, Neeraj, Chopra, the bunch of guys who have done so well, Abhinav, of course, in shooting. So I think all of them can double up, triple up as we move forward. So if we perhaps, as Mona rightly said, if we won one medal way back when, and as Lisa said, as far as the Australia was concerned as well, it took them 20 years to get there, that we could double up and triple up by the time 2036 comes around. It is a very short time, 10 years, but it is long enough to get a gold medal or a silver medal or a bronze medal. So I think it's possible, and with the talent that we have, I think we can do it.
Just one more thing as well. The Australian Olympic team, it was women that actually got the most gold medals. So make sure that you're actually giving opportunities to female athletes, because they're the ones that are actually proving that they can bring home medals just as much as men.
Yes, in the front. In the front. Thank you. With the microphone. Thanks. Thank you.
I want to start my question with a humble brag. I come from Brisbane in Australia, and our suburb of Indrapilli has, if it was a country, we would be 17th on the world medal tally because of swimming. All the swimming gold medalists and
from Brisbane, you mean?
Come from Indrapilli, our little suburb.
Where the high performance program is.
Yeah, the high performance program is at our school. So recently, I met sportsbook.in, which is an Indian platform that builds curriculum for schools for every Olympic sport there is. So it's their way of preparing for Olympics 2036. But to translate that into schools, do you see infrastructure coming up around India to support that at the school level? For example, at our school, the medal-winning school, years before the Olympics, even before Paris, they had an Eiffel Tower model next to the pool to get them into that mindset. The swimmers are there at 5 a.m. every day swimming. So what kind of infrastructure does that translate to in schools across India? And with just 10 years left, do you see that being built, or is there any plan?
Yes, I think obviously each state in this country, in our country here, is as bigger than a country anywhere else, just each state. So I think there's a lot that each states are doing within the state governments. I think they're all doing that as well, and also from the national government. But as we discussed earlier, I think if we stay focused in on some of the sports that we want to really target, I think we have a much better chance. And of course, the most important part of the exercise is talking to the athlete and the coaches. If you talk to them and see exactly what they need, just because another tennis player practices 8 hours a day doesn't mean this guy should also play 8 hours a day because it's good for him. It might not be good for this guy. So I think it's more a question of concentrated effort. How do you actually get better, and what would make you better? It's very hard to quantify that. I think the suburb from which you are from, swimming was probably the best thing that they grew up with, and they felt good about it. They felt like fish in water. You know, you felt, I'll never forget a Spanish Davis Cup captain once asking me, how come there are no good tennis players coming out of India? And I didn't want to get into a long response to it. So I said it's the same reason you don't have any good software engineers coming out of Spain. So, because as a matter of fact, if we focus in on what we can be good at, and I think we can stay focused with it. Yes, from the very beginning.
From when they, sorry.
From the start. Yes.
Nurture swimmers from when they are in prep.
I agree.
So
start early, and yes. And I think that's important. And we need to be able to pay the same importance to sport in school as we do with the curriculum in the class.
And as part of the Brisbane 2032 campaign, they have already tried to encouraging students at the school level to think about what sport are you going to participate in, and then train towards that.
That's awesome.
So it's a mindset thing as well.
Right. It is a mindset. Yes.
Thanks for putting this panel together. My name is Sri Krishna Rao. We're talking of cricket as a religion, dominant religion in India. Now we're talking of Olympic ambitions. I wanted to ask you what we should do to keep native Indian sports alive amidst all of this. We have kabaddi, we have kho-kho, we have ball badminton, kalaripayattu, all of these. What are your thoughts on how we can keep those native Indian sports alive and kids motivated to even pursue those, along with the other bigger sports as well?
Sorry, was your question how to promote more local Indian sports?
How to keep local sports alive while we are also emphasizing Olympic sports with Olympic ambitions.
And would you say that also varies from state to state in different parts of the country?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's not easy. I mean, we are obviously the largest country in the world for a variety of reasons. And I think the important thing is to have sport as part of your life's journey. I've always talked about sport because it was my life journey. It was my greatest education. It taught me more about life and the world than anything would have ever taught me in my life. Winning and losing came after that. And fortunately, I was fortunate to have played at a very high level. But my most important aspect of my entire journey was the education of it. And that's what I learned from. So to answer your question, I think it might be difficult for a simple reason unless each state takes up what's popular in their state and starts to continue to promote it. Because as I said earlier, each state in India is like a country. And so the fact that we're all together and as a whole, we'll be able to promote 10 new sports on a regular basis makes it look simple. But I'm not quite sure it's that easy. You really have to commit to it to keep that part of the country's culture alive.
I think the other thing as well is everyone sees sport potentially taking time away from your education, and how are you going to do well in life if you don't have a degree or if you don't become a certain profession. So obviously cricket has enabled people to see that there is a way out of wherever they are, and they can provide for their family. And hopefully with the Olympics and obviously all of these professional leagues, kabaddi and everything like that, where there's franchises, that there is a remuneration for those athletes. So then there'll be parents and families will be more supportive of them. You've got close to 1.5 billion, so you can play as many sports as you want. We just want boys and girls, young, old, to be playing as much sport as possible, because the health benefits also are huge.
I'll add this in this, that Indian government has started Khelo India Village Series. So that series is actually to promote the local regional games. So that is already done by the Indian government. And the another thing is we need to think the way that I am playing a sport. I am playing a sport just to fit myself, to get fit from your mind, from your body, physically and mentally, to fit yourself. Then it's not. It should not be for medals. It should be for your mental health, for your physical health, and you will be reaching to the medals.
Excellent point. Excellent point. And I think that Khelo India Games is a very, very good yardstick for us across the country to have the promotion of sport on a general basis you talked about, and to have that competitive edge as well because of the fact that it is a competition. So I think that is a spectacular move by the country at the national level to be able to continue this on an annual basis and get the best we can from our youngsters. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for this exciting food for thought. I have two boys who we have been trying to sport as part of our daily life, and one of the things that has observed, we live in Mumbai, is I think probably there needs to be capabilities of coaches across the city. I mean, that whole ecosystem of people considering to be a coach as a career to go and mentor kids in sports. So, for example, my younger one, I'm trying to find a good basketball coach, and within like 1 hour drive is where we're finding the nearest basketball. So it's just not possible for kids to go down, find the ecosystem to play and be part of the ecosystem. And similarly for my elder one who wants to do rock climbing, there's not like, so when we think about sports, and I agree with you that we need to focus on sports, but there's also kids' passion, and not all sports are for all kids. You know, we need to create this whole variety of sports, but also enough capability building at the grassroots level that there is enough coaches who can find a career coaching 100 kids, 200 kids in every neighborhood and create that ecosystem of sports as part of our daily life.
Yes, I completely agree with you. No question, we are a lack of coaches in pretty much in most sports. I'm sure in cricket you have a whole slew of them. But what I really like about what BCCI has done is what they've done with the depth of cricket. You know, it kind of goes down deep. If you look at first class, now forget about the champions, but I mean, even when you start to go down that list, it is incredible the number of all the way down to the under 19s, the juniors, and so on and so forth, and the local state leagues that have started to do so very well. So the depth of cricket in India, boys and girls now, is really gone through the roof. That's what I really appreciate. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of issues that are taken into consideration, but I'm just talking about cricket in general. It's a good yardstick for us to use as a sort of a way to improve other sports. But you're absolutely right. If we pick the sports across, even the ones that you would probably know, not necessarily the ones you mentioned, but if you look at tennis, badminton, we still don't have, badminton is probably the best argument for a racket sport in the country at this point. Gopi has done a remarkable job with it. Prakash has done a remarkable job with it. So I do believe that we have the firepower from the legends of the game in various sports today to be able to do that. I think it's important for us to be able to stay focused and pay more attention to sport as we go along, even during the physical departments of various schools and colleges, to be able to give them the opportunity to do it. You know?
Maybe a good business model for someone.
Yeah, exactly. One or two more questions and we'll quit.
Hi,
yeah.
over here.
Yeah. Hi. Yes.
Hi. Oh. Hi. Yeah, India used to be one of the, hockey used to be one of the favorite games for India, right? When we were growing up, we used to hear about all these Olympic medals that India used to win for hockey. But whatever happened to hockey now? Cricket has taken over, and we don't hear much about the hockey.
True. I think there was a switch at one point in time, and I could be wrong, and I might not be the best person to ask this question or answer it. Maybe Lisa and Mona can help here. I felt that when the turf changed at the time, I watched the hockey team play in Korea in 1988, and they were absolutely awesome. But when you see the movement of the stick, because the stick work apparently is what we were the best at. Because we have excellent hand-eye coordination and the feel of the ball on the stick. But when the turf started to change, the Europeans, especially the Dutch, I think started in the Australians, of course, ended up starting to pick up. It became a much faster sport. And, often when people ask me in tennis and I can address tennis, why didn't you make that? Why were you short making that? Well, I wasn't quick enough to get there. Indians have the best strokes, but not the best legs. We hit the ball really well, but you got to get there first. So as far as hockey is concerned, I would draw that analogy to some extent. But you're right. We've moved on to cricket in a way that has developed remarkably well. And I think we should use them as a case study as far as what they've been able to do. Right? Wrong?
I think we need media support for this because our media is more focused on cricket only. In Olympics, we won medal in hockey as well, but media is not promoting hockey the way they're promoting cricket. So I think we need media support more for other sports as well.
One more question.
Over here. Hi. Over here. Hello.
Okay, hi.
Hi, Vijay. My name is Priya Doraswamy. I was wondering, perhaps one way to accelerate it in a decade is to privatize, sort of like the IPL leagues have private money funding, let's say, certain sports, and that will really bring it to a national audience. Is that a possibility?
Did you say privatize?
Just like the IPL, giving money.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Lisa.
right. In other sports, they have done that here in India. But I actually think once the IOC says yes, I actually think the Indian government will find money to invest in. It just hasn't had the moment yet. It's like the Indian women's side, and it may be Paralympics or something. If someone has to prove to be successful to get the investment. In Australia, it's the other way around. We'll invest because we want you to succeed. So I think if India was to win the bid for 2036, I have no doubt that there will be a huge amount of crore money flying around to ensure that infrastructure and everything is put in place. And potentially, I think it has to go into schools. So hopefully the government can assist in changing policies to enable young boys and girls to play as many sports at school, to figure out which Olympic sport they want to play in.
No, I fully agree. I think, I do hope we get the games in 2036. It'll be a huge fillip for the sport in this country. And across the board, for business, for sport, for television, for media, all of it will come together when that does happen. And I think India is ready for it. We're on that threshold of victory as far as getting to the podium. And I think that's the one thing that always has to be kept in mind, that we really need to be on that podium more often than we're not. So once we have that, I think in this period of time, we'll be ready for it. I think the government will be ready for it. The sponsors will be ready for it. And needless to say, television will cover it the best possible. It would be remarkable for our country to be able to have it. So I wish the Indian Olympic Association and our representatives, of course, Mrs. Ambani and so on at the IOC level, to be able to make sure we somehow work towards getting it for 2036. But I want to say thank you to Mona and Lisa here. They've been fantastic. Really delight to see you both. Really wonderful. Wish you luck. Wish you luck as well. I'll watch your commentary even more closely now.
Be nice.
I will. But more than anything else, I just want to say a big thank you to MR and Sanjeev and the entire team for giving us the opportunity to highlight sport and the Olympics, potential Olympics in 2036 at this forum, and most importantly, for all of you, and to be able to share this afternoon with you. Thank you all so very much.